Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Crusader Kings 3 and the channel, which is going to supplement EU5 with the Tsardom of Bulgaria here on the channel. And the reason I'm going back to Crusader Kings 3 is just very simple. It's how I got into Grand Strategy games. So, like, growing up, I'm old enough where I grew up with, like, Caesar, Cleopatra, Age of Empires, and then, started kind of getting into Total War a little bit. But as my uncle, so I'm a history teacher. My uncle's also a history teacher, or he was. He's now retired. But anyways, he kind of was playing. I think we were there for like Thanksgiving, and it was during the week of Thanksgiving where I saw him playing like Crusader Kings 2, I believe it was, and I was just like, "What is this?" And he explained it to me, and he showed, and I watched it a little bit. I was just like, "Oh my goodness," because to me, the Middle Ages is of God, fate, life, the simulation, whatever you want, aliens, whatever you personally believe in. Personally, I do believe that there is an all-powerful entity out there, but whether I'm right about that or not, I don't know. That's my personal belief. And I'm not going to dwell on that too much more. But my point is, if I got to go back to one period of history, it would probably be the Middle Ages, antiquity, with Rome and Greece, and that would probably be the second. Prohibition might be the third. And then like the Age of Discovery, just to see the world like in a more quote unquote natural form, and not just to be in Europe, although that is my ancestry, but maybe one time that would actually be to steal kind of like the idea of reincarnation. If I came back and I lived through the Middle Ages, and then I lived through the Age of Discovery, then I lived through, maybe it's the Islamic Golden Age, and maybe that I lived through, one time over here, like in one of the dynasties in China, right? And then maybe, right, that would be I'd be okay with that. I mean, I would definitely want to see my mom again, see my dog, see some of my friends and family that have passed on. And, that I would definitely want to do as well. Don't get me wrong. And if I could just sit on a porch and fish and, maybe learn how to, farm or like work in a vineyard, I'd be okay with that too. But I would have. Sometimes I don't know. Most of my life, I feel like I've been an old soul, I guess is what I'm saying, and that I should have been born further back in history. But I am grateful for the technology. I'm grateful for the advances. I just feel like these other periods of history had a greater sense of community than what I personally think we have anymore with each other. And I'm sad about that. Not that life was perfect, or I'm not trying to romanticize these other periods, because they definitely had problems. Don't get me started. They had a lot of problems. And they did a lot of things that were wicked and evil and not good. But we do a lot of that stuff today. So while that is definitely true, the oppression and everything else that went along with this time period, we're lying to ourselves if we say the world's in a much better place, because a lot of that still exists today, which is sad, but it's the reality. So this idea that we've surpassed that and moved on beyond that, if that's what we think, then we're lying to ourselves, and we don't look close enough at the world around us. I didn't mean to be depressing there, but as a history teacher and somebody who loves history and pays very much attention to the world, not like obsessively, but maybe above average, we haven't come as far as we like to pretend in terms of our tolerance and our understanding and our acceptance of people who are different than us. Whether it's different religion, different sexuality, different appearance. Tolerance, not a strength of humanity, sadly, in a lot of places. And because of that, I have a hard time believing, subscribing to this idea that we're a lot more advanced compared to people in the Middle Ages. We have cars, we can fly, we go to outer space, we can do types of surgeries that people never would have dreamed of back then. And a lot of that is good. A lot of that's fine. Heating, and well, though the Romans knew how to heat, but you know, a lot of good things with technology, don't get me wrong. But the idea that we're somehow more advanced, no. So I am listening to the History of Poland podcast, which is kind of fascinating. My mom used to joke that Romania and Poland were my second homes, even though we're Danish and German by ancestry, because both of those countries fascinate me. If I ever make it to Europe, I would. I mean, I'd want to see Scotland and Ireland and England and Paris and Rome and Spain and Portugal. Like I'd want to see everywhere, basically. But Prague, Vienna, Budapest, Tarnovo in Bulgaria, Sofia. A lot of places. Shemishil, I mean, maybe not right now, with the war going on, but a lot of the places in Central and Eastern Europe that you don't learn a lot about, in school in the States, is where I would really want to see, because there's so much history and culture in these places. I mean, I would love to one day maybe be able to get to North Africa, maybe even Western Africa, the Middle East. Like, I would love to be able to travel. Don't have, struggling financially just with bills and day to day living right now. So it's not like I can afford any of that. But getting into the game, enough talking about random things. So we have House. I'm probably gonna butcher this name, but I do apologize. House Mazowazn. Mazoan. I'll try to figure out how to say it. I think I'll call it Mazoan for right now. With Chieftain Borsla. I don't think I've ever played Plock. I've played some as Pilati with the House of PS because that obviously is a dynasty that eventually reigned over Poland. I've played a little bit out here in Sedomirsk, but I just thought, what, let's play up here, right? We are Slovakian, we're Polish, we're a tribe, starting the 867 start date. We do have the Rice 1.19 straight of Balaka turned out. I am already married with to a chiefess, Nadzija, a Plock, and we have a son, Kazimierz. I am arrogant, calm, cynical, and an adequate bargainer. I have a 13 score in diplomacy, 10 martial, 6 stewardship, which sucks, 14 in intrigue, and an 8 in learning. So Kazimierz, you know what? I'll say he's gonna have an education focus or a learning focus, and fine. I'll be his tutor, his ward, whatever. Our Zeretz does not support me. I think that's kind of like almost a universal thing at the start of the game, because even if I'm Catholic and I have a bishop, they don't often support me. I am going to try to create the Duchy of Mazovia. That is what I'm going to try to do. I don't have enough gold. I can station men at arms. We have 3 out of 3. Well, we have 600 men at arms. That part's great. They're all light footmen, which is, so we don't have any diversity or anything, but we'll station them, right? We'll station them. We also don't have a marshal. Okay. So our council kind of sucks. Our steward is a 3. Our chancellor is a 4. We don't have a marshal. Our Zeretz is actually amazing. He's a 22. And our spy master isn't terrible. But man, the other 2 positions that we have, and then the lack of a person for marshal is a little bit problematic. Okay, so we do have a trading post built here at Labza. Zagrozum has nothing built, and then in our capital Plock, we actually just have a war camp, or a sparring ground, sorry. So a gathering hall will cost 71 gold, 200 prestige. It would give us 100 levies. Prestige plus 2.25 above control would increase. Yeah, since it's the capital, I feel like this would be the right choice. Right? Now, the sparring grounds do give me 150 levies. Obviously, the Palisades would, make us a little bit tougher to besieged. So there is that. But we'll put the longhouse down. We can't get any more men right now. Kazimierz was just born. All right, so they have 1,500 men here in the High Chiefdom of Minsk, and they're not that far from me. But all these women are a lot older than my son, who's just been born. So Bukovina, Halich, also not that far away. 1,500 men. She's 11. Who is this? Opalania, 1,800 men. They're kind of down here in Moravia, which, again, not like crazy far away. The Silesians do have 2,200 men, and she's 3. So for right now, we're gonna go there. We're gonna go there and try to get him married to her, or betrothed to her, I should say. So we have 1,700 men. We'll go ahead and raise them as raiders. Let's see, this dude, 1,100 men. Now, of course, he is a vassal of, Prussia, which is not to say Prussia at this point in time that we think of in terms of like Germany, right? That comes later on in history. And the one nice thing, here in a way, is I can definitely raid other Polish lands, but I also have other neighbors who are not Poles that I can raid, pretty easily. Obviously, at one point, we are going to want to become feudal. We are going to want to try to create the Kingdom of Poland, be probably staunchly Catholic, I would imagine. And then, when crusades happen, potentially, participate in those. Of course, one of the nice things about CK3 is it's CK2 as well. Oh, and we have taken his heir. This is huge because we can ransom for 50 gold. I mean, that is massive. Now, Chieftain Bajors of Prussia actually has just 700 men? Really? Okay. And let's see, the Duchy of Mazovia. Right. So we actually are considered to be maxed out right now. In terms of, our domain holdings. Now, the one good news for us is that, since he is just 17 years old, yeah, I know that we're missing a counselor. The one good thing is that is going to allow us to get to the point where we have, an expanded domain holder. And, potentially creating the duchy will also allow us to expand our domain holdings, although that's not a guarantee. Right? That's not a guarantee. Fire and Blood. The settlement of the Truso and opponent stronghold in Greater Papasadia is followed to by raiders. We have run the vast tracts of land and many of the quivering subjects and shiny treasures of Chieftain Garotis to choose from. The troops stayed ready, awaiting my command to give them direction. If we say we want more plunder, we add 30 loot to the army and gain 75 prestige, or if we take it, yeah, we'll do that. We will do that. Development growth here decreases by 40. Recently sacked for 20 years, we had 30 gold and we gained 75 prestige. Now, that obviously pisses them off, and I do understand this. And we now have 60 out of 165 gold. Now, we have to get back home in order to, you know, get these get the rewards that we currently have, right? You know, which I do like, right? Because obviously, you know, if your army gets ambushed or something, you know, you wouldn't be able to return home with it. So, how many guys do they have? 1,300. Okay, they a little bit closer to us. So the way it works is like for every gold you... Ooh, I have a nice little beard now. I must be... Yeah, I'm now 18. Chiefess Dajeja. Okay, she's a 7, a 14, a 10 in stewardship, 5 in intrigue, 8 in learning. She is ambitious, forgiving, zealous, a skilled tactician, and an aggressive attacker. I am arrogant, calm, cynical, and an adequate bargainer. Sprouting interest, a jovial merchant, press a second season in my head. The plants he claims fortify both health and mind. It must have been I have little experience in nurturing plants, but how hard could it be? If I plant a private garden, 60% I gain the trade herbalist, 55% I get seeker of knowledge for 10 years. Or I can 27% nothing happens, or they must be worth something, I can just take the money. You know what? We'll take the odds, see if anything happens. Okay, nothing happens. I mean, that's, you know, unfortunate, but, you know, not overly surprising. I'm a little concerned because we are quite a ways away from our home territory, so I would not really be able to protect my people if we got raided. However, just the amount of gold we're getting from this, and I mean, along with the amount of prestige, really can't be understated or overstated. Like, this is going to allow us to build and really develop our little, you know, would-be duchy into something. So I think his armies actually try to catch me now. Oh wait, no, they're actually trying to raid them in return. Okay. I was just like, what the heck's going on? But because let's see, this guy down here, he has 1,400 men, so he's actually pretty close to being manpower. Which is a little bit concerning. Oh, yeah, right. We have 100 gold, which means we have 100 prestige, so we do want to try to, you know, deliver that. Although they got defeated, so that'd be another 19 gold there. Set of Swords that swayed. Yeah, he's my Zeret's a champion. Alright. So down here. So the Palisades don't actually help with my prestige. But they do, War Camp. Skirmishers damage and toughness plus 150 levies. It will take 5 years. What did we have here again? Okay, we had a War Camp here. Because we do need to get past the prestige. Here in Lomza. Now, the debate I'm having right now is to get the War Camp and what it gives me in terms of, right, it gives me a few more levies, and also it makes, you know, if I have heavy infantry, skirmishers, archer, cavalry, although the Palisades give me 100 levies, makes it tougher for people to attack me. But I don't, and I do want to, like, diversify my men at arms. I'm not sure if it'll be archers, though. You know what? We'll build a palisade, that's fine. So we have delivered the 100 prestige and the 100 gold. Because their army just got defeated. I'm going to try to raid them. Get another 19 gold. Because this is going to cost. Like, this is going to cost. And I am going to want to try to create the Duchy of Mazovia as quickly as I can. Oh, their army's coming in to fight me. It's only considered to be a even battle. So we might lose, which is, of course, unfortunate if it happens. Obviously, if we win, we could gain some more prestige. And we'll be able to raid them. you know, and complete the raid. And it looks like that's what's going to happen here in the Battle of Kelbo. We each have light infantry and nothing else. And I do win. Here with the Chiefdom of Plock. Alright, so now we've defeated an enemy. And we're going to get 19 more gold. So we do have 491 prestige now. Which is going to be big, because hopefully that'll allow us to call in our ally, the Silesians. Because he's got 2,200 men. And we have 3 years left on that building. And we have 2 years left on the Palisades. And actually what we're going to do here, now this isn't going to make much sense because we're not going to get a lot of money from this, but, right, because they just got raided. Greetings, Chieftain Borislav Plock. I proud through documents both ancient and lesser providence. I have highly evident material to make the case that you are the rightful lord. We lose 54 gold. But because they just got raided, okay, doesn't really, never mind. Doesn't really help them in terms of, I thought it was going to hurt them in terms of their levies, but it doesn't. It does not. That is my fault. I thought it would. All right, we are going to construct a trading outpost there, and like here's the storyline I'm going with. Like yes, we have a claim. We have an ally we could potentially try to call in, but my storyline that I'm trying to create is that this guy Borislav is saying, you know what? I need to consolidate my power before I do anything, right? Which I think is valid, and so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to say, hey, get me as strong as I can be, and then give me, have me have that good base where, this place is gonna be harder to sack. This place, we have a meeting hall. This place, we're on the river here. We could potentially say, you know what, we're going to... try to, get a trading post here. Okay, Cirque, which is where we have our claim. So... Sweaters are gay 25 opinion to me. He does now. like me. I am going to go here to Silesia. Try to sway him, although it's considered to be very hard to bring him on side, which is unfortunate, but, you know, the reality of the situation. Now, the one thing I will say, although my wife is now pregnant again, which is nice, right? Could divide the, you know, chiefdom, but at the same time, as I say, to the Middle Ages was an era to spare, is what you wanted. I think his army just got defeated in this latest raid. We have 21 months left here. 3 years left. I'm just really I'm not trying to wait too long, but I would try to wait long enough to try to avoid going to war in winter, basically. I do love, like, the birds flying. I do miss the idea. Like, the one thing I do love about Europa Universalis 5 and, you know, Victoria 3, even though I don't play that very often, right, anymore, is the idea of, like, the pops, right? And I understand that would be a tough mechanic to bring into CK3 because obviously records and exactly how many people lived everywhere, you know, potentially was not, you know, super duper precise, but, you know, for taxation purposes and how many men you needed to, you know, submit to your lord for, you know, his army, I'm sure I'm sure there was record keeping, you know. It might not be up to, you know, modern standards and whatnot, but oh, he's at Chieftain Stefan of Kelmo and the Stetche conquest of the Chiefdom of Kuje. So if he's got another enemy that he's fighting, that is good news for me, because what we could do essentially now although his army looks like he's just going to march off over here, which is kind of interesting. You know what? We are going to declare war. Can we... Oh, he will accept. Fantastic. Now, it did cost me 150 prestige, but Gardomir says, yes, I will come in. Now, your allies don't always do that, right? So you remember, this guy has no ally. Oh crap, I'm being raided. I did not even realize that. So I can't... Yeah, I can't actually do anything because that dude was right there with his army. I have a daughter that Jasia has given birth to a perfect little daughter. Yep, she could have the same name as her mother. That's fine. That dude came in and raided me, and then this guy was just like, well, you know what then? I'm going to come in and I'm going to try to besiege him. Which is actually really smart, but... And I don't have a marshal right now. Bogo Chwal will come. He sucks. Like, that dude sucks. And we don't have enough prestige to invite new champions. Yeah, Meshko's the best we have. Bogo Shaw can do that. The Silesian army is coming in, which is awesome. It looks like we're going to win this battle anyways. And I mean, now I feel even better about the idea of trying to... build up the palisade there. So that'll take him 12 months. So we're going to try to take the capital. They're coming down there to take the... Actually, okay, they're marching over here with us. As we're going to try to potentially just wipe him out. Gardomir is not swayed, although his army is here helping us. So, I mean, he might not be swayed, but... we are going to win this battle convincingly, right? 3,400 men now. Captured his chancellor. He will not ransom his chancellor, which a little bit crappy of you, dude, but okay. We are up to 50% war score. $17 months on the building of the palisade, 7 months for the trade outpost. Trading outposts offer the opportunity for tribesmen and traders to meet and barter. And we have 19 months on the longhouse. So I do think, thanks to my ally at least, we will win this initial battle. or initial war, I should say. Now, we do only have 28 gold left, so we're not going to be able to create the Duchy of Mazovia for a little while. Oh, that's right, my daughter. We could... Sweet smiles, a little lies, just like other children by his age. My son and heir Casimir sometimes lies and tests the boundaries. Whoever the outfit avoids suspicion with a sweet demeanor, people always forgive him when he does get caught. I wonder just how much he gets away with. He is charming. She'll get a diplomacy focus. And I'm actually pretty good at that. So I will also be her guardian. Cutting cornerstones, the cost will go down. And the reason I did that is because the next one is going to allow you to speed up construction. Which is going to be important. That is going to be important, obviously. A little over a year left there, 4 months there. And look, this is actually huge, that trading outpost, because you can see with our army raise, we're down to 0.5 gold a month. So this will give me, what, 0.4? Yep. So we have a well-organized court. Spouse's average stewardship skill led to this windfall. Thank you very much, my love. Technically, that's going to put me up to 0.9. So basically, gain a gold every month, even with our army raised. Of course, when our army is not raised, that will increase a lot more. So my hope is we can maybe even get a hostage by besieging their capital. I think, what is this? Gostinen will be the next province we try to have a claim on. I'm not a big one when it comes to like, hey, we want to, subjugate you. Hey, my wife is pregnant again. I mean, again, I'm 20, she's 20, so, it's a thing. Right? The Silesians did take what we were after. It'd be nice if we could win this siege by ourselves. Okay, they're just going to hang out. Because it's like, if we're going to get a hostage, I don't want them to get the hostage, because the ransom would be nice. Okay, we got his wife. 25 gold, right? Not a massive amount, but alright, the war is still won. We will enforce our demands. We will gain 50 legitimacy. I am now recognized. We'll have the Chiefdom of Cirque. I will gain 10 fame, and our allies will share 10 prestige. So I'm now actually over my domain limit, which isn't great. However, as we have a trading outpost completed now. What does Cirque have? They have, okay, the Longhouse. The benefit, potentially, is that once we're able to create the duchies, we might get up to 4 domain limit. And even if we're not, then we'll be able to have a vassal. Now, I don't know who we'd want as our vassal, because as Mieszko is finished, is increasing the control there. Obviously, we'll go down to our newly conquered place, which they say will take 10 years. Like, Setovar is actually really, really good at a lot of things. He's a great at education, not bad at stewardship, but he's pretty good at diplomatically. Um, Actually, you know what? Let's switch them, yes. There. Um, which gives us a tiny increase in terms of... Um, we're going to raise our army, because I feel like this idiot might be coming to try to raid me. Chieftain Kungas thought he was going to come in and get me, I guess. I mean, I did raid him, so I understand why he's raiding me, but it's just like, dude. The battle inspires Bogachol. He distinguished himself battling a superior foe. Nice. And we won the battle. Chieftain Gregory. Okay, with the babe cradled in her arms, Chiefess Nadeja wipes tears from her cheeks and addresses me without taking her eyes off her son. Husband, dearest, let's save Borslaw after you. A lovely idea. So we do have a second son. And actually, you know what? No, we'll just... We're gonna chill out for a second, right? We have 5 months left of the Palisades, 8 months left on the Longhouse. You know, we need 87 gold. We only have 72 right now. And we're definitely going to have to raid again, don't get me wrong. But for right now, I'm just like, you know what, no, I want to try to, you know, consolidate, right? Which is where I think this is important, right? Which is where I think this is important, what we're doing. This idea of consolidation, right? Plus, we're going to get, you know, 200 levies. Stefan won his war, of course. I mean, yeah, because he was so much weakened from what we had done. And so what we're actually waiting on is we're going to wait for the Longhouse to get built, right? So we have 5 months left there. And the reason we're waiting is we're up... is one, we don't have the money even right now. We still need 10 ducats. So ironically, that'll be about 5 months. But then, you know, we'll be able to say, look, we built a new trading outpost. This place got raided, so, I mean, granted, we were already in the process of building the palisade, but now we could say, look, we got raided, so we went off and we built a palisade to try to support them from being raided, which we have a negative for being looted. Holding taxes negative 50% until 874. So, right, we could say we did that. And then, hey, we're going to try to create a duchy, so we need to have a place in the capital where people are going to come and meet us. So to me, all of that made sense, right? And then also gives us a chance to actually get the money to create the duchy, which is going to give us a lot of prestige, a lot of legitimacy. and also increase our army. So our army is going to be a little bit bigger. So I think it's win, win, win by taking this approach. Now, I could be wrong, of course, but that's just my opinion. Now, I do think Stetchy down here, Gosta, like I said, because that will, it'll be more consolidated, so to speak. We did lose half a gold there. I don't know why exactly, but, okay. Maybe for being over the domain limit. But again, the other thing this is going to give us is we'll be able to create, if we don't gain from creating the duchy, I can create a vassal and say, okay, you can take Lamza. Yeah. Or you can take Cert, right? And then, we'll back under our domain limit. Alright, so let's see. We can create the Duchy of Mazovia, 87 gold. It'll take us down to 3. Give us 300 prestige and 25 legitimacy. And we'll be a high chieftain. So it actually did nothing, right? Like I said. But that's okay, because see, now we'll go in here to Setsovar. We'll try to find, okay, Lucja. She's actually really good in terms of the marshal. She will marry him, and he will now be a vassal of us. He'll gain 40 opinion. We are now back under our domain limit. We've not lost anything that we've built. And we're a high chieftain. With a vassal, we gain the prestige. We're more legitimate. The spirit of the unicorn grants us trust. And one of our best vassals, or best, council members, now has lands. So that is where we're going to wrap up today's episode. Very happy with the episode myself personally. Thank you everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will be back in the future. Take care.